take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. We've got the right to choose it. There ain't no way we lose it. This is our life, this is our song. We'll fight the powers that be just. Don't pick our destiny, 'cause you don't know us, you don't belong. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. Oh, you're so condescending. Your goal is never ending. We don't want nothing, not a thing from you. Your life is tried and jaded, boring and confiscated. If that's your best will do. Whoa, whoa, we're right, we're free, we'll fight, you'll see. Well, we're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I would like to thank some of the following legislators who are here with us this afternoon. Representative Seal, Representative Livingston, Representative Farnsworth, and Representative Townson. Thank you for being able to attend. Today is a busy day. We have some legislators in Yuma. We have some at several other events. So I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. I also appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you for coming. And I didn't even have to bus you guys in. Well, yeah, it's hard to believe that we have degenerated to bus 5 buses of people to be here. But let me tell you a little something. Those were very nice optics over there, looked really good, but there are more with us than there are with them.
That's right.
Here is one of the emails I received, of many emails. Every time I see one of the ads, my stomach churns in disgust, knowing they have enlisted the money from big business and hospitals to pay for a very costly campaign against us, the taxpayers, who will ultimately be responsible for paying for this program. I work very hard at my job and take my responsibility as a teacher very seriously. If I could be at the state capitol tomorrow, I would be there in protest of this expansion. I have to work, as do my children, who are busy raising their families and neighbors, also working hard, just trying to hold on to what is left of their American dream. Not one of them is in favor of this expansion. I'm a precinct captain in LD 22, and at our last meeting, only one single person voted in favor of the expansion, and that person represented one of the hospitals. As a middle-class, hard-working taxpayer, my only hope is vested in all of you, representatives of the people. I hope you will all fight against this Medicaid expansion and don't succumb to the special interests and money or opportunities that may be promised to you. Fight for those people you represent. So that's who we're here today representing. And there are a lot of those people who can't be with us today. We're very fortunate today. We're going to hear from Bill Whittle. We will hear from Representative Livingston. And we'll also hear a little bit from Representative Pierce on some of the dangers of jumping into this program. So with that being said, let me introduce Bill Whittle. Bill Whittle is an American conservative blogger, political commentator, director, screenwriter, editor, pilot, and author. He is best known for his PJ Media internet videos and short films, one of which, 3.5 Days, has been viewed more than 2.4 million times on YouTube as of November 2012. He is currently the presenter of Afterburner and The Firewall and co-host Trifecta with Stephen Green and Scott Ott. He is a former National Review Online contributor and has been a guest on the Fox News channel. Let me introduce Bill Whittle.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I just have a couple quick things to say here, and the first thing I want to say is that I wasn't brought into this event by bus or airplane. I've been scheduled here for months and months and months, and we're just driving by and said, hey, there's a protest, let's go check it out. Listen, the last thing that the people of Arizona need is some jerk coming in from Los Angeles to tell you how to run your own business. I am not here to tell you what to do with Arizona politics. I'm not here to talk about the details of this bill. Frankly, as a person who lives in California, what you do with your state bills is none of my business, and I'm the last person on the earth to want to get in here and tell you how to run this. But I can talk to you as an American citizen, because we're all together national brothers and sisters of the same nation. And that's kind of really what I want to talk to you about, because this is really the entire argument to me. I'm not here to say that this isn't a problem. I'm not here to say that there's not a problem that needs a solution. I'm not even here to say that there's not a problem that needs a government solution. But what I am here to say is, I think this is a problem that is absolutely, definitely not a federal government solution. And here's why that's important. Because a lot of us who actually still happen to believe in things like the rule of law often carry a copy of our Constitution with us. And this whole healthcare issue is really important for the following reason. It's important because the federal government doesn't talk about healthcare. It talks about a lot of things, and it says that the stuff that we don't talk about is really none of our business. But the thing that's so interesting to me is, I don't know if there's an American out here, I've certainly never met one who wanted to admit it, but I've never met an American who has a problem with the Bill of Rights. There are people who talk about the mechanics of the Constitution. There are people who talk about amendments to the Constitution. But I've never run into a single American who said, I have a fundamental problem with the Bill of Rights. So let's just take a quick look at the Bill of Rights. No one here has a problem with the ability to speak your mind and have a First Amendment protection for the ability to say what you think, right? No one. Not in the camp over there, not the camp over here. There's no Democrats or Republicans who have a problem with this. Most of us don't have a problem with the idea that you should have the right to defend yourself with the Second Amendment. But certainly no one has a problem with the Fifth Amendment protection that says that you're not forced to testify against yourself and that you have protections against this kind of intimidation. No one has any problem with any of these things. So why is it that when you read the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, why is it that the 10th one says that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution — the United States means the federal government — powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, there's nothing about healthcare in the Constitution. Why does the Bill of Rights say that if it's not in the federal Constitution, it should be a states' right issue? Why? They did it because they're not talking about policy. It's not about healthcare. It's not about any of these things. It's about power. It's about power. It's about the concentration of power and the corrupting power of money. That's all I'm here to talk about today. So let's just take a look at this idea of Obamacare and expanding this Obamacare exchange and expanding all of this stuff. Forget about the debt. Forget about all of the fact that you're not going to be paying for this, and your kids are not going to be paying for this. Your grandkids are going to be paying for this. A kid who's born into America today walks into the earth today with $1,500,000 worth of debt on their backs. This is not about healthcare. This is a war on our grandchildren. But put all of that aside for a minute. The reason the 10th Amendment is there is because the entire idea of this country is that individual states should be able to try individual solutions, find out what works and what doesn't work, and then let them determine for themselves. So I'm not going to tell Arizonans what to do with their public policy. I'm not going to tell Arizonans what to do with their healthcare bills. I can tell you, however, that I am flying in from Los Angeles, California, and that state is dying in front of my eyes. People are leaving that state and businesses are leaving that state in droves because the taxes get higher and higher and it becomes impossible to do business in California. And that is because California is trying a series of policies that are ruinous. and they are flying over Arizona, leaving California, flying over Arizona and New Mexico, and they're landing in Texas because Texas, like other states, is trying different ideas, and Texas is running a budget surplus. And the only reason I'm standing here in front of you Arizonans today is to say, be careful. Be careful about going down a road that you cannot come back out from. Be careful about accepting this federal program that once you are in, you will not get back out of. You still have a choice to make an individual decision for the citizens of Arizona, and you have a choice to look to the west at California, or you can look to the east at Texas and decide whether or not you want to go bankrupt as a society here in Arizona, yes or no? No. Because the only thing I'll say in closing is this. We're often portrayed as being against healthcare. We're often portrayed as not caring about poor people. We're often given this label, but it's just not true. The reason we're proposing that this is a bad idea is not that this isn't a problem that needs to be solved. It's a problem that needs to be solved better than the way the federal government does it. So now let's just talk just very briefly about this idea of expanding into Obamacare. If Obamacare was such a great idea, why is it that the people who authored Obamacare are calling it publicly a train wreck? Why is it, if Obamacare is such a great idea, that the people who have the most political influence with the people who wrote Obamacare, the people closest to Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, why are they the ones who are obtaining waivers so that they can become exempted from Obamacare? Let's take healthcare off of the table completely. Let's call this the chocolate frosting on chocolate cake bill. Okay? Why is it that if this is such a delicious recipe, that the people who manufactured the frosting are ones who are suing for the right to not be forced to eat the cake? Doesn't that tell you something? It tells me something. It tells me that anything that this federal government does is going to be ruined. Now, members in Arizona, as I understand the bill, look at this and go, hey man, this is a great deal for us. Because for every dollar we put in, we get $10 from the federal government. What an awesome deal for Arizona. Where do the $10 that come from the federal government come from? They come from us, they come from China, they come from our grandchildren, and they come from the printing press. So when you see a bill like this, you go, hey, this is great for Arizonans. Every dollar we put in, we get $10 from the federal government. You get $10 from the federal government that you pay for. It's taken out of your paychecks. They give you a small percentage of what they take back to you, and you get down on your knees and worship the golden calf of their generosity. Folks, when they say that this is federal money coming to Arizona, it's federal money coming to Arizona from Arizonans. And every time you make something bigger and every time you move it further away from the local, it gets worse and worse and worse. That's why there's a 10th Amendment. There's a 10th Amendment to say that the power should not be determined by a few people who have already decided they want to get out of this bill that they're trying to force you to swallow. They want to get out of it. They're forcing themselves out of this bill that they want you to swallow. So that's really just that simple. That's really about all I have to say. But I want to just close by saying this. Don't let people make this about whether or not this is about healthcare, because local solutions are always the best solutions. Understand that this is about the control of the money. And let me give you one or two examples from Arizona that I learned about that might be of interest to you. Here we stand in front of the Capitol building. Arizona has a reputation for fiscal sanity and fiscal responsibility. This entire plan was apparently turned down by the Arizona Supreme Court, but now they want to do it. Now you people in Arizona, like us in California, are spending so much money that it has been made aware, to me anyway, by a representative, that this Capitol building that used to be the property of the people of Arizona is not owned by you anymore. Your government sold the ground that we're standing on now to pay for things that you can't afford. Do you know who owns that building now? Nobody knows, because Representative Peterson here has tried to find out who the rent checks go to in order for the money they got for it. He can't find out. I can understand why the government of Arizona may not want to tell me who owns the building, but they won't tell a representative of the people of Arizona who they sold the building to cover the cost of these programs that you cannot afford. I find that alarming. I find that very alarming. And I'll give you one more example of why we are against the idea of the bigger the government, the worse the problem. Again, it comes to you from somebody who told me about a story in Arizona. Turns out that there was a law that said that if a local school district in Arizona had to bus kids in to school, that they would get $2.01 per student mile if the trip was under 1 mile. If the total trip to and from school was over a mile, instead of it being $2.01, it was $2.46. So guess what happened? Guess. Most kids live within a mile of school, but what happened here in Arizona was kids were getting on school buses, and school buses were taking longer routes, circuitous routes, to get them to the school so that it could be more than 1 mile, so that the education system could get the extra 40 cents per student mile. So what does that mean? It means there's more maintenance on your buses, more maintenance on the tires, more wear on the road, but what it really means is that your kids have to get up earlier and come home later, and they're on the road being exposed to traffic risks so that the government, which doesn't own any of the money, can get more of the money and put it into the general education fund. This is what happens. I didn't make this stuff up. If this stuff were free, I'd be a liberal, but it's not free. It costs money. It costs money. And the further away that money goes, and the longer distance it has to travel before it comes back, the less of it there will be. Don't let them make this about healthcare. It's not about healthcare. It's about finding the best solution to a problem. And the best solution to the problem is the local solution. So here's my final thing for you. Let's say you want to do something very simple. Healthcare is complicated, healthcare is expensive, and healthcare is hard. Let's say you want to do something simple. Let's say you want to build a tool shed in your backyard. Now you can go down to Home Depot, spend $300 or $400 on a little bit of cement and some lumber, hammer some 2x4s together, and get a tool shed up. It'll take you the better part of an afternoon. It'll cost you $300. If you had to apply to Washington to have Washington provide you with a tool shed, how much money would they take? How much time would they take? How many forms would you have to fill out? How many inspectors would there be? How many people on the union jobs would there be? How many union drivers would there be with the trucks to bring the stuff? Your tool shed would cost you $73,900 because you did it a different way. The solution is still a solution. You need a tool shed, you can get one locally or you can get one through Washington. Make up your minds. Choose carefully. In my state, we've chosen, and my state is falling apart. Don't let that happen to Arizona. Don't let it happen here. Thanks very much for having me.
Ladies, gentlemen, hello. My name is David Livingston. I'm a state representative from LD 22. I'm not just a Republican, I'm a conservative, and I'm damn proud of it. As a small business owner, as a financial advisor, I've been looking at this, and there's a couple things that just doesn't make any sense to me, and I want to share those with you. Number one, why do we have a Republican governor supporting Obamacare? Does not make sense to me. Number two, why are the Democrats supporting big businesses? Does not make sense to me. But you know what? I've been thinking about this a lot. Like I said, I'm a financial advisor. And I know what the answer is. The answer is money. Simple as that. We have to follow the money trail. And this is the money trail. The hospitals are willing to tax themselves. Interesting concept. Why are they willing to tax themselves? Every dollar they pay in tax, at the end of the year, they're going to get $10. And they're taking that $10 from you, the American people. This is not a free lunch. Every dollar they pay in tax, they're getting $10 back. As a financial advisor, I would love to be able to do that for all of my clients and all the families in Arizona. But this is not how this works. This is to the benefit of the hospitals, not to the benefit of the citizens of this state that pay income taxes. We cannot afford this tax. We cannot allow this tax to go through. I stand here and I promise to do everything I can to stop Obamacare. It is my honor to stand here as your state representative to represent you, the people of Arizona. God bless each one of you. God bless the state of Arizona. Thank you.
Hey guys, State Representative Kelly Townson. Got a quick question for you guys. How many conservatives do we have here? All right. What do you guys guys think about the IRS targeting conservatives and the Tea Party in their application?
Somebody ought to get fired. Somebody ought to go.
Who's going to enforce Obamacare? The IRS, right? How many people here feel comfortable that they'll be given a fair shake regarding their health care?
They said they don't know how to do the math.
Yeah, they don't know how to do the math. Okay, so before we even talk about expansion of Medicaid here in Arizona, we need to talk about repealing Obamacare in general. Okay, and I'll share a little personal story with you guys. I'm in the VA system. Just recently in April, we had got our health care here for being a legislator, and I switched to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I got to tell you, as much as I love my veterans and the VA, how many hours do you suspect it took a wait for me in the emergency room at the VA?
2 days.
I heard 3 hours. I heard 6 hours. 12 hours. I checked myself out. I said, well, obviously I'm not dead, so I'm going to go ahead and go on home. So you know, that's very discouraging to me. And when I started going to see my physician now, it's night and day. Night and day. Well, what we have here in America is the best medical system in the world versus government-run medical system. So, you know, I'm quite concerned if this pushes us down that road to be a single-payer system, a government-run system. I just can't see. It's horrible. And then finally, it doesn't take much to figure out that for every woman that's added to the Medicaid expansion that's of childbearing age, if she gets pregnant and she decides that she's not going to keep her baby and she goes and gets an abortion, we pay for it. We've already been defeated in the courts. Even our governor has said we lost that battle.
Oh, gee.
So if we try and come up with language that says, oh, the money won't go to pay for abortions, we are going to again lose the battle. We're going to again lose the battle after we pay the court, you know, the lawyers and whatever else. It's going to cost us a lot of money. So there is no justification for me to push the green button up in there because I feel I'll have blood on my hands if I do.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We just have a few more minutes. I want to share, this is an email from Representative Pierce that went to all the members at the Capitol, and he makes a great point that of once we get into Obamacare, we may not be able to get out. He's a lawyer, and he shared the following. I spent a significant amount of time analyzing the Supreme Court's Obamacare opinion, NFIB versus Sebelius, and am now convinced that the proposed circuit breaker in the Medicaid expansion plan may have a significant flaw. He goes on to share that. I won't read the exact language with you, but he says, what does this mean? When the Affordable Care Act takes effect, are all Medicaid funds part of the Affordable Care Act? I think they probably are. So I believe there is a pretty strong argument that once a state decides to become part of the expansion, it cannot later pull out of the expansion via circuit breaker or anything else and not risk all federal Medicaid funds. In other words, the reason the Supreme Court sided with the states on the original mandate in the ACA was that it was unconstitutional for the federal government to coerce the states into expanding under the threat of existing funds, but that does not affect the Secretary's ability to withdraw funds provided under the Affordable Care Act if a state that has chosen to participate in the expansion fails to comply with the requirements of that act. And here's his big point. I believe the Supreme Court was giving us a clue that expansion has a Hotel California clause. You can check out at any time you like, but you can never leave. So why are we rushing into this? Arizona was the last state to get down to Medicaid. Why on earth would we be the first state to expand? I just want to thank you all for being here today. We appreciate it. Yes, we'll hear some really brief closing comments. We have the lawn. We have the lawn for 30 minutes, so we'll give some final closing comments to Representative Field. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you coming today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. I really appreciate your leadership, Mr. Peterson. You're doing an awesome job. I just wanted to add something to the discussion that the gentleman talked about. It's the same taxpayer. whether to expand or not to expand, guess what? It's the same taxpayer. So if we don't expand, we spend another $756 million a year that we don't have. If we do expand, we spend another $2.6 billion a year we don't have. And guess where we get it from? Well, I think someone over here said something about China. I'm pretty sure that's where it's going to come from. And I wanted you guys to know about something new here today. In fact, just the other day, the NFIB, who was the case against the federal government over Obamacare, NFIB here in Arizona just recently came out in vehement opposition to the expansion of socialized medicine and Obamacare. Let's hear it for the NFIB, the National Federation of Independent Business Owners. Well over 75% of them, 75% of the small business owners in this state say no to socialized medicine. Guess who employs over 85% of the people in Arizona? Small businesses. Guess who's going to be hurt by those mandates? Small businesses. Guess whose hours are going to be cut because of the mandate? You and I and everybody's in small businesses and small employees. So this is a great step forward. In the future, I'm sure you're going to hear from a great many more of us. There's a great many more issues in front of us. You need to pay attention because expanding Obamacare expands the funding of abortions. Make no mistake about it. If you have any doubt about that, we can prove to you that most certainly it does. And we cannot tolerate that. In fact, the Priests for Life recently stepped up and said that they cannot support the expansion of Obamacare because it kills innocent children. So I urge you to not only stand with these legislators, but many more of us. Keep us accountable, keep the pressure on us, do not let up on us, because this is the vital time right now. I want to thank you very much for your time here today. Thank you again, Mr. Peterson, for putting us together, and God bless Arizona.
Thank you.
We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it.